What's up everyone, I'm Jason Legauskis, and this is a special travel edition of my Vloggity Vlog. So I recently just came back from a really awesome trip out to LA. Had tons of fun, got to do a bunch of things, a couple of things I didn't even expect. Got a special tour of Walt Disney TV Animation Studios and got to see some of the new DuckTales in production and Star Wars vs. the Forces of Evil, a lot of shows like that, which was awesome. But what I want to do today is take you with me on something that's been on my bucket list for a very long time now. And that is to go to Walt Disney's grave and pay my respects. Now wait a minute. Now if you're a very gullible person, you may be saying to yourself right now, but Jason, what are you talking about Walt Disney's grave? Wasn't Walt Disney's head cryogenically frozen and then stored underneath Pirates of the Caribbean? To those people, I would say,
fools! Idiots! Imbeciles!
What happened was Walt Disney actually died from lung cancer. He'd been a heavy smoker all his adult life, and in November 1966, doctors discovered a walnut-sized tumor on his lung. This fact was hidden not only from the general public, but also from most of the Disney studio employees as well. Even when he was in the hospital, the story was that he was being treated for an old injury that he had received playing polo years before. So no one was really prepared when Walt died suddenly on December 15th, 1966. Now, Walt was the kind of guy who really hated funerals, so he didn't really want a large funeral for himself. So what happened was there was just a small private family funeral service, and then his body was cremated, and his ashes were buried at Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Glendale, California. So that's where me and my travel buddy Todd went to search out and pay our respects to Walt Disney. So without further ado, join us as we start our search for Walt Disney's final resting spot. Okay, after visiting the Disney studio, just up the street is Forest Lawn. You can get in the shot. Is Forest Lawn Cemetery, where Walt Disney is actually buried. So we're going to go pay our respects to Walt and look at his grave. Now, Forest Lawn is a massive park. It spans 300 acres, and there are over 250,000 people buried here. In addition, the staff never tells you where to find anyone's grave, you just have to figure that out on your own. So, according to some internet blogs, Walt is apparently buried in a place called the Court of Freedom, where it has all kinds of odes to our country. Should be some statues of George Washington, and some stuff about the Declaration of Independence. So, we're going to look and see if we can find that. Okay, so we're standing here. We found the Court of Freedom, and here is the statue of George Washington. So Walt Disney's grave can't be far from here. But this is actually a cool thing right here, because this has the statue of George Washington, and in front of it is an actual piece of the chain that they stretched across the Hudson River in 1776 when the Declaration of Independence was signed. So, actual piece of history is sitting right here, which is pretty awesome. Alright, so our quest continues. Okay, so past George Washington, we're heading into the Freedom Mausoleum. We know from our research that he's not actually buried in the mausoleum, he's in one of the side gardens. So we're going to explore some of these until we find it. And it looks like we found it, tucked in a corner over here. Okay, so we found it. It's in a little corner of the Court of Freedom, just outside of the mausoleum. And as you can see behind me, there's the plaque with Walt's name at the top, Lillian's name below him, and then Disney's daughter and her husband underneath there. And they were cremated, so they were cremated and their ashes are put here. And it's a quiet little place. And there's a little statue right here, kind of keeping watch over it. It's very classy, no Mickey memorabilia or anything else. You wouldn't even know this was where Walt was if you didn't take time to explore. So, and if you want to reflect, there's a little bench right there to sit on. So I think we're gonna sit on the bench for a few minutes and reflect and say thank you, Walt, for giving us our daily bread. It's like a prayer or something. No, just pay our respects to him. If you're a Disney fan and you've also made this trip out to Walt's grave, then leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your experiences with it. And if this has inspired you to maybe go out and do this little search and pay your respects yourself, then hopefully this video has been helpful to you and given you some landmarks and some things to search for when you head out there yourself. All right, thanks for joining. I'm Jason Lagauskas. I'll see you next time. Cool thing is it's got the chain here. This is an actual chain that a piece of the chain that they spread across. I see your nose.
Oh.